Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.
Yes, I like this smile because yesterday I saw when you walked out, when you just stood up, I was thinking you're angry and you had your wife and you left the venue. What was that for?
It was time to go.
It was time to go.
Oh yes, nothing else.
So let's begin from the question you raised at the end of the primaries, a few minutes before they started the declaration of the result.
Yeah.
You tried to raise some questions. What was that?
Yes, actually, there was a question I raised over and over again, which had to do with the list, the authentic delegate list for the primaries. Before the press was allowed in, had also raised that question over and over again. I wanted to see the original list for the primaries. We were, as aspirants, by the rules of the primaries, we're supposed to have the authentic list of the primaries. The list we were given to the primaries was 230 in total, the superdelegates. And during the brief, we were informed by the chairman of the panel that it was exactly the exact list that he had. And that even went ahead to swear that he picked that list from the party secretariat a day before, prior to his departure. And he signed off on it and swore to them that if there would be any attempt to influence him to work with anything else on that list, he would resign from the assignment. We were happy with it. So, somewhere along the line, we were told they had finished accreditation. And they had a total of 179 delegates. And I asked, what about the rest of the delegates, which would be about 50? He said they were not seen. I went out, I asked if anybody was still waiting, they said no. So we came back, said okay, let the moving into the voting hall start. And all of a sudden, after the accreditation into the hall, there was, according to you were there in your presence, you did a head count, and they had 218. Then that was when I asked the question in your presence, why did we move from 179 to 218? He said that they ended the accreditation and started again, and that was why the number increased. Now, we were inside as aspirants. We had our agents around and assumed all was going well. And we started the process. At the end of the process, there was a total of 200 votes, 199 valid votes, only one single vote nulled. So a total of 29. That was why I asked what happened to the 18 votes. He had no answer to it. So for me, I never complained in this whole exercise, because when you're complaining, you are losing. So I was only asking those questions for clarification, because I was aware that out of the authentic list that we had, whatever else that come out of it, we were short of winning. And again, at the end of it, the result is clear to you. But the big question is, what happened to the 18 votes? But more importantly, I discovered the good number of the delegates who were cleared at the first gate and allowed into the compound. You would have witnessed that too. Then on coming to the hall to vote, they were told their names were no longer on the list. You saw that outside. Those were my voters. I didn't even know that was happening. Then I now realized that while we were sitting there, and while the man was already swearing with everything, they had changed the list twice. And each time they changed the list to continue to eliminate my voters and then adding up. So when they add, they find out it's not enough. They go add again.
So they were those times that they delayed.
Those times, and they were
doing the calculation.
Yes, they were doing the calculation. So that what do we do to this guy? Each time they do, they delay. And obviously the man who was outside, working on all those processes and manipulating and making the police and appeal was P2B and his own gang.
Did you see him?
Oh yes, did you not see him? He was there.
I saw him outside.
P2B was outside for over 6 hours, walking around, making phone calls, pleading and begging, and then collapsing structures. He was right there outside that when they saw that even all the adding was not enough, then they cut a deal with Chris Azubo, one of the aspirants, to collapse with Valentine Mozibo on a deal. It was there that when they saw that his other candidate or aspirant he was supporting was not making a headway, so he dropped her right there and moved to collapse the structure. So despite all those manipulations, they could only get 4 votes.
You know, you're throwing allegations at Peter Obi. He's not here now to defend himself. But what you're telling us now, it's what's coming from your own side.
Yes, but I'm saying it so that maybe somehow he will come up one day and tell us why he was just right there, descended solo.
But he's a delegate too.
Yeah, but he's a leader, and he told us he was going to be free and fair. He was going to wait as a leader and support whoever. That's fine, he's a politician. But coming down, striking, paying, cutting people over to come to the other side, it's his right to do it. But I'm only just telling, I'm not unhappy that he did it, but I'm just telling who was doing it and what they were doing. So I think it was flawed. And there are answers that must have to be given. It was a surprise result. You saw it also from the mood, from the mood of the people around there. And we thought we deserved the victory. And despite all those efforts, we think we came out on top. That was our victory. We won the vote. Those are people, I'm sure you were a long time outside before you came in. Mm-hmm. You saw what was going on there. There's no reason, if you have one list and allow somebody from the first gate to come in, from the first gate to the entrance gate into the hall, the person was not in the list you are having. That list was supposed to have been just there long before that day. So what was the changing?
See, you know why I'm looking at you and I'm wondering if you say that the process was flawed and you're tying your belief to the fact that the leader of the party in the state, who happens to be Peter Obi, the former governor of the state, came in there to lobby.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Some persons will tell you politics is all about lobbying. So does that amount to a flawed process?
No. I said here that he had to do what he had to do.
Yes.
I'm not unhappy about it, but I'm just telling you who did what and what they did. Mm. The flaw is not conformity with certain lists. Do you understand what I'm saying? And some kind of issues, manipulation, because first of all, the first accreditation that was closed was 179. You have it on video, it's public. I wasn't the only one in the hall. And then people were supposed to come in. He delayed for another 2, 3, 4 hours and came back again and came up inside the hall with 218 accredited. You were there. In your presence, he counted. And you remember that when he counted, He locked up all the doors. You were there when they announced nobody comes in, nobody goes out. And when you vote, you walk out through the other, right? And right before your eyes, every other person in that hall voted. And nobody was left out. But at the end of the day, only 200 ballot papers were counted.
So what happened to the 18?
That's the question you should help me ask him. Those were my votes.
Were they disqualified during
I don't know what the mystery, but the head counts he gave were probably, that was the number he had on paper that we were not there with him for the head counts, but he probably forgot they had dropped them outside. They were my voters. Or whatever way, that's only I can imagine. But the fact is that before everybody were there, he did count, and at the end of the day, 218 people were closed for the day for the voting. And where did anybody go out of that place unvoted? You were there. Could you say?
I saw it that even the doors were shut.
The doors were shut.
So that means after accreditation, he told the people that 218 persons were accredited.
In your presence, you were there.
But I also heard him say, we accredited 200.
No, he didn't say so.
He
Never said that. No, he never
and
said that.
you're sure that they did head count, and they also noticed that 218 persons were inside that hall.
In your presence, yes. It was a public thing, counted and announced publicly. I'm sure you should have it on your camera because
So
the camera
the
was
other
on.
18 persons disappeared.
You should ask them. So there were a lot of issues with those numbers. You know, the numbers. First, it was 179. Second, it was 218. On the original list we had, which we confirmed with him during the debriefing, it was 230.
So did you confirm the list at the gate and the list at the door? Because I know that they have two entrances. From the main gate, then by the door, there's another accreditation or screening, a mini screening before they allow you in. Did you confirm the list of the delegates? Because people who were allowed into that place were just delegate aspirants and their agents.
Exactly. At the beginning, the list at that gate was the same list that we heard. So up to the point people crossed that gate, the right people entered. So from the point they had to move from the open place inside the voting hall, my people were dropped.
Are you aware of that?
Oh yes, I'm sure you saw it too. You guys were present and we
saw people around.
Yes,
we
and
even
there was
saw you at the time you had to move into the hall. I saw you then.
Yes.
But I can't tell you categorically.
If you were observant, there was a time I was getting some calls and I came out to ask what was going on, and I was told there were some of our people that were not allowed. So I asked the deputy governor, who was the chairman. He assured me that when that exercise was over, he will go out personally himself and make sure those who were in that original list must come in. That never happened because those votes were lost.
Doctor, I still need to ask you a question, because some of the aspirants told us right there that the list that the party brought, they went through the list and they found out that some persons are not supposed to be in the list. There were people who came from outside Anambra State. And if you are not a statutory member of the party in the state, you can't be a delegate in this whole game. So probably, I'm just saying that, they were thinking that some persons were imported into the list, and that's why they had to change it. Don't you think so?
To start with, it wasn't a statutory delegate list. It was a super delegate list. And super delegate list is supposed to be certain current serving members of the party or former that. And they know we came to that because of other judicial issues. But the fact of that is that there was nobody outside Anambra State who was in the list. But the issue is this. The delegate list is supposed to be provided by the National Working Committee. And it was supposed to be approved by the National Working Committee. And it was supposed to be made available few days within the rule before the primaries. Where you have human beings, there may have been imperfections. But the fact of the matter is, since that time has passed, since lists have been made available to the aspirants, and since the panel was already in place, no other person had the right to change delegate lists except when the National Working Committee of the party sits again and work on it. Before you guys came in, I had raised this issue that I personally have some concerns with some names that were in some places. Though I know I was constrained by this rule, which I've just told you, but I want to bring it to the notice of the panel for just information and on records that I have issues here and there. But I realize the fact they don't even have powers to change the list. For instance, one Dr. OBIORA, who is from Onitsha North, voted as a party officer in Nnewi North. I saw it. I saw him, Dr. OBIORA. I saw it in the list. Dr. OBIORA queued behind the Nnewi people and went to vote. You know, those were some of those manipulations. Dr. OBIORA was never a member of the party. He had no business being there. He was never a member of a party school. No, he wasn't. Had no business being there. His was even not in the list that I had. Those were those manipulations that were done just right in there. It has been a big battle. We fought a big battle. But the truth of the matter is that in all of this battle, they did not win anywhere for the past 3 years. We fought for zoning, we fought for party school, we fought for so many things. God has fought our battle for us. We had won all the battles. And they only waited Peter, who along the line, to come at that odd time when we were already inside, you know, with all our guards low, and then started doing some kind of really manipulations, you know, that was really very petty. And at the end of the day, I knew also it was an issue. Probably you missed the scene where some people there almost beat him up. So maybe you didn't notice that. He was almost at the point of beating him up. So I think that was really too desperate. It was too desperate. And I know in politics you have to lobby for your interests, you have to. But you see, our understanding was that this should be free and fair. And when it is free and fair, and the parties believe that it is so, then they will all just take the whole exercise in the spirit of sportsmanship. And the winner will be congratulated, and we all join hands to work for the party. So,
from that point that you just spoke about now, joining your hands together to work for the party, so from your explanation, it seems you are not accepting the candidates that emerged.
Well, it's too early to answer to that. It is obvious that some aspect of it was flawed. I would have gladly accepted defeat. But I know it was our game and our process to lose. There are some answers we are expecting on some questions, and we are doing some consultations, and my team and my people were just sleeping over a few things, and we just very soon we come up with a position.
You know, there's an appeal panel after the primaries. Are you planning to first of all go to the appeal panel to tell them to submit your own query to them and ask the party to take a look at what is going on? And after that, you're going further?
Well, like I said, it's a collective decision I have to take with my team, whether we will appeal or what we will do. From there, we should take decision very, very soon. And I know my team are cracking things and coming together with some issues. And until that is done, I cannot tell you now what.
Let me see if I can tickle you a bit and bring something out.
Yes.
Peradventure,
Yes.
your supporters,
Yes.
those who are saying go, we are behind you,
Yes.
are telling you we will not accept what has happened in PDP. And the next option for you is we must shame them because you didn't believe in what they did, and you take a decision to jump ship. Are you planning that?
They have not told me that.
I know they have not told you, except peradventure.
Well, you know, until they say so, I think you can see, you've been in Anambra for a while, you can see the state is mourning. You know, there's a mourning mood. You see the mood. It wasn't the same mood you saw when you came in. You were in that hall.
Yeah.
You were in that environment. You saw some people who were already looking forward for excitement. And even in your faces, I saw it. So this is really, I'm sure those supporters have not really gotten themselves with the disappointments of what happened. When they come back to their normal self, I'm sure they will give a good thought. And in everything, I can assure you we're going to do, it should be for common interest, and we will be guided, we will pray to be guided by Almighty God to take the right decision that is for us, and then for all the people.
You know, in politics,
but what is bad is bad.
it's bad. Doctor, in politics, I because of my experience in covering the elections since 1999, I've been able to understand that politicians get bothered when their party is disappointing them.
Yes.
And they've been words like, you collect my money every 4 years, and at the end of the day, you skimmed me out of the game. And they take a decision to say, I do not want to be in this party anymore. Are you planning that?
Honestly speaking, I haven't said that the party skimmed me out. I know that somebody like Peter who descended so low is somebody I respected. He's a good friend of mine. And he was so desperate and descended so low to act below expectations. It was a Saturday. It's not a party issue. We've had so many issues in the past. The party did everything they could do to correct the situation, and everybody was happy up to that point. I mean, you will always have that. They listened, they reacted, they tried their very best to make sure that all issues were resolved. But up to that point, everybody had gone inside. You know, that was really so low and so cheap. You know, just like waiting for your enemy to hit him from behind. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I mean, if it was just a normal time I was out there, nothing would have happened. And obviously, they didn't plan to win with 4 votes. I'm sure they wanted to do more, but surely they made strong resistance. You know, that would have even been worse if I was not coming situation. You know, because when my people were telling me lists were being changed, people, you know, our people were being, I thought it was just speculation, just calm down. This is our game to win. You know, don't just bring anything that will disrupt it. As long as these people, this is the list we had, no matter which way it goes, our margin would be so much. So what we did find out was that at that first count, 179 from 230, they had yanked off about 50 of our supporters. We were supposed to have nothing less than 100 votes.
But in the game of politics, you shouldn't keep quiet and listen to and just watch this play if actually what you're saying is the reality.
But I'm just saying that here you were inside.
And you
And
didn't
then
know
here
what was
you
going
were.
on outside.
Then the only communication you get report, you asked the chairman of the panel, who assured me and swore that he will start the process from the beginning to the end with the original list he came from Abuja, which we all had. So what do you expect me to do? So, you know, there are also speculations and apprehensions during processes like that. So when certain reports came to me, I imagined that, oh, here I am with the chairman. He's addressing all the issues. There must have been some anxiety and, you know, so, but it just turned out to be true. But no matter what they did, they yanked off the 50, 18 votes we are missing still, and 2 people joined. Do you understand what I mean? 2 people joined together, somehow collapsed structure. It could only be 4, 4 votes. So you can see how formidable we are in this whole process, you know, and that is why the whole PDP family is in mourning. They never dreamed that they would come to a situation where I will not be leading them to campaign, because they know anything to the contrary, it's going to be disastrous for the party.
So at the end of the day, you were disappointed at the chairman and the process?
I haven't had all the answers yet, so I can't just tell you categorically that I am disappointed. But I'm only realizing that some of the answers coming from him were not really the true situation, especially when he was telling us right in there with him that it was to start and finish with the list he heard. You know, and you had other aspirants asking questions about the list. You know, and I don't know if you also had when I was even coming situation and implying that as long as you're doing what I'm doing with the list we have, that's fine, let's do the business and get going. So, I will make my opinion on the chairman when I have full answers to my question. But so far, I think there were certain infractions and certain things were not done right, and he was not particularly fair in some of the answers he gave us.
Okay, now, Doctor, finally, can I say that you're optimistic that your party will also listen to you somehow, and then they strike a balance?
I will not predict the reaction of the party, but the party should be in a position to know that issues of this nature requires very good attention, and a candidate like me should not be joked with.
I like that. I like that. Well, you just heard from OBIORA Okonkwo. He has said it. He has explained his grievances and he's been able to tell the party. And something I observed is the way he calculated the list, as if he was monitoring from the beginning up to the last minute of the election process. And the last statement, they should not joke with a candidate like me. You know what that means? Well, that's the much we can take here. Hopefully, after he has met with his party and also after he's been able to go round and try to activate all necessary doors that are open within the party, according to the party constitution. We may just see someone say, I want to press charges. We are waiting to know if he's pressing charges or he's taking a decision to say, I will work with you, and he will embrace the olive branch. This is the much we can take at this moment.